During a critical phase of expansion in the early 14th century, the growing territories of the Ottoman Empire faced an unexpected crisis. While its ruler, Osman I, was leading campaigns beyond the frontier, Tatar raiders launched a sudden and destructive incursion into Ottoman lands. The attack disrupted markets, endangered civilians, and exposed the vulnerabilities of a rapidly expanding state. Frontier reports describe the raid as swift and calculated. Groups of mounted warriors, commonly associated with Tatar steppe forces linked to the wider influence of the Chalbtashir Golden Horde, Jedyaks, crossed into Ottoman-controlled territory with little warning. Their objective appeared to be plunder rather than occupation. Moving quickly between settlements, the raiders targeted commercial centers where goods and wealth were concentrated. Markets became the primary focus of the assault. Merchants trading agricultural produce, textiles, and livestock were caught off guard as the raiders swept through trading squares. Stalls were overturned, warehouses looted, and caravans seized. Witness accounts describe scenes of panic as civilians attempted to flee or protect their property. The sudden violence interrupted the flow of commerce that had been steadily growing under improved security conditions. Local defense forces reacted as quickly as possible, but the speed of the raid created significant challenges. Town militias and small garrisons were not always prepared for a coordinated mounted assault. In several locations, defenders managed to organize resistance, slowing the raiders and protecting parts of the population. However, the attackers relied on mobility and surprise, avoiding prolonged engagements and withdrawing before larger reinforcements could arrive. The human cost of the incursion was considerable. Civilians suffered injuries, property losses, and displacement. Families sought refuge in fortified structures, while community leaders attempted to restore order. Medical assistance was limited, and local authorities were forced to mobilize resources rapidly to care for the wounded and support those who had lost livelihoods. News of the raid spread quickly across Ottoman territories, creating anxiety among populations already accustomed to frontier instability. Communication networks relayed urgent messages to regional commanders, who began organizing patrols and reinforcing vulnerable positions. The incident underscored the reality that expansion brought not only opportunity, but also exposure to external threats. When reports reached Osman I, he faced a complex strategic dilemma. His ongoing campaigns required attention and manpower, yet the protection of his homeland was equally critical. Commanders were instructed to strengthen defensive measures immediately. Additional troops were dispatched to patrol trade routes, and watch posts were established to provide early warning of further incursions. Military analysts emphasize that the Tatar raid revealed gaps in frontier security. Rapid expansion had stretched defensive resources, leaving some areas less protected than others. In response, Ottoman leadership accelerated efforts to build a more integrated defense system. Garrisons were reinforced, and coordination between towns improved through clearer communication channels. Economic consequences followed the initial shock. Temporary disruption of trade reduced the availability of goods and increased uncertainty in local markets. Merchants hesitated to travel until assurances of safety were restored. Ottoman administrators acted to stabilize the situation by organizing escorted caravans and compensating affected communities where possible. Diplomatic considerations also emerged. Relations with neighboring powers were reassessed in light of the incursion. While the raiders did not appear to represent a formal declaration of war, their connection to broader Tatar networks raised concerns about future attacks. Envoys and intermediaries explored options to reduce tensions and discourage repeated raids. Social resilience became a defining feature of the recovery effort. Community leaders coordinated rebuilding initiatives, repairing damaged marketplaces, and restoring essential services. Religious and civic institutions played a role in supporting displaced families and reinforcing solidarity. These collective actions helped mitigate the long-term effects of the Ottoman. From a military standpoint, the incident prompted important reforms. Training exercises emphasized rapid response to mobile threats. Scouts were assigned to monitor distant approaches, and signal systems were improved to transmit warnings efficiently. Commanders recognized that defending a growing state required adaptability as much as offensive strength. Observers note that the Ottoman response combined firmness with pragmatism. Rather than diverting all resources from expansion campaigns, leadership sought a balance between external operations and internal security. This approach aimed to preserve momentum while ensuring that civilian populations felt protected. The psychological impact of the raid lingered beyond its immediate aftermath. Memories of sudden violence influenced settlement patterns and encouraged the strengthening of local defenses. Fortifications were inspected and upgraded, and emergency plans were developed to coordinate civilian evacuation if necessary. Despite the severity of the Ghutna, the recovery demonstrated the administrative capacity of the emerging Ottoman state. Efficient mobilization of resources, combined with organized relief efforts, restored confidence among residents. Trade gradually resumed as patrols secured routes and markets reopened. Historians interpret the Tatar raid as a reminder of the volatile environment in which early Ottoman expansion occurred. Frontier societies operated within a network of competing powers and shifting alliances. Raids were a persistent feature of regional dynamics, testing the resilience of developing institutions. For Osman I and his commanders, the experience reinforced the importance of comprehensive governance. Military success alone could not guarantee stability. Protection of civilians and economic infrastructure was equally essential. By addressing vulnerabilities exposed by the raid, Ottoman leadership strengthened the foundations of their rule. In the months following the incursion, evidence suggests that defensive readiness improved noticeably. Increased patrol activity deterred opportunistic attacks, and coordinated intelligence gathering enhanced situational awareness. Communities regained a sense of normalcy as reconstruction progressed. The broader lesson of the episode lay in its demonstration of interconnected challenges. Expansion created new opportunities, but also introduced risks that demanded strategic foresight. Balancing offensive ambitions with domestic security became a central theme of Ottoman policy. In conclusion, the Tatar raid on Ottoman lands represented a serious but ultimately manageable sunket. Swift-moving attackers inflicted damage on markets and civilians, exposing weaknesses in frontier defense. Yet the organized response led by Osman III and his administration transformed adversity into an opportunity for reform. Strengthened security measures, economic stabilization, and community resilience allowed the region to recover and continue its trajectory of growth. The incident stands as a significant example of how emerging states confront and adapt to unexpected threats while pursuing broader strategic goals.